Power Motion Picnic Hour. Sometimes a special guest. Say your name, special guest. Clarence Darrow. This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Power Motion Picnic Hour. As always, I'm your host, Dave. Alongside me is...
Trevor.
Hello, Trevor. How are you this week?
Oh, I'm doing well, Dave. It's just lovely to be here.
It's so good to be here. This is I don't know how long it is since the last episode. This is now our longest break this year between episodes, and a new longest since our epic 19-year break that we took for a while.
Roughly 19 years between 2004 and 2023. Approximately 19.
And so we love callbacks at the Power Motion Picnic Hour. So we did a little callback to that epic break with I don't know how long. It's been a few weeks. It's been too long. Let's put it that way.
It's been 2 weeks. I think we've only really missed listeners that became accustomed to weekly releases were sorely disappointed, I think, over the last week or maybe two when there were no new episodes.
Well, I guess 2 weeks here feels like 3 weeks, the same way that regular long distance runs to us feel like ultra marathons.
It's a good translator.
Yeah, it's like my headphones that don't fit my ears. We're not living in the same system of measurement as most of the world, but that's fine.
So, I mean, week in running, I feel like you got to start with the week in running.
Yeah.
So tell us about your week in running.
Well, you mean my 2 weeks in running? That felt like 3 weeks, or pretending it's one. My week in running, my elongated week in running, has been great. I've done so many runs since we've last talked. I did a great 4-miler by New York Roadrunners, a Pride 4-mile run put on by Front Runners. It's an organization here in New York. They've been doing this race since 1982.
Wow.
The first one was about a week after you were born, about 2 weeks after I was born. And so now they just ran the 42nd edition of it. And it's pretty amazing. It was a typical kind of New York Roadrunners Central Park 4-mile race around the same loop. And they're always really inspiring, but this one I think was extra inspiring. And so just you could see a lot of people from the Front Runners organization who'd been doing it for a long time. They had the shirt on, so that's how you could tell who it was. And then just a lot of I watched a lot of people crossing the finish line and people crossing holding hands and things like that, and just a really inspiring scene. Extra inspiring.
That's awesome. Well, that's really awesome.
Yeah, and on a personal note, my goal was to break my personal record in the 4-mile, which was 31:59.
Okay.
And I fell short of that goal by I forget now, but by like a minute. So yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about this. You go out, you try every time, and sometimes you're going to be faster, and sometimes not. And I'm sure you tried. You wanted to do your best 4-mile effort, and it just wasn't the day. And there's all kinds of variables.
Yeah, tons of variables. It's so funny too, because it was like this day seemed perfect for it. The weather was great. Like it was not too hot, not too cold. It rained just a tiny bit, about a mile or two in, but that was even kind of nice. Mentally, I had like the killer instinct at the start. I was totally pumped up, and I slept well the night before.
How was your outfit?
Outfit was solid as usual. I can't remember which one it was, but 2-inch shorts, singlet, headband.
2-inch.
Well, 2 or 3. Maybe it was 3. My collection is all 2 and 3.
Two is basically like a bikini short, right?
It's pretty short. I have some 2s, and yeah, I can kind of gauge them by like which leg tattoos each pair of shorts shows off, and I've got like on my lower.
You've got some new ones, right?
Yeah, well, my leg tattoos are all kind of relatively newer because I basically filled up my arms and then said, well, what's next? And
I think that's a good way to go, right? I mean, at this point, you've got a lot of experience. You know what you're doing. You're running a bunch, so you know like sort of what tattoos you want to show while running.
And as a more serious runner, leg tattoos, you don't think about them factor in. You think you get arm tattoos first because they're the first ones you show off. But as a runner, your leg tattoos are kind of your coolest tattoos. They're most important.
Yeah.
So I have these two really badass. I think they're pretty badass tattoos, like above my knees, like on that part of my leg. One's like a skull with a snake, and one's like a lizard with a naked lady riding it.
Yeah, no, I mean those are badass.
I think they're super cool, and they look cool when you're running. But then anyway, if I wear the 2-inch shorts, you can reveal the tattoo above the skull snake, which is like a little cutesy strawberry pony. So I kind of like that. It's kind of like maybe my favorite tattoo.
Do you shave your legs?
No.
Should
I?
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, how visible the tattoos would be. But you don't have, like, a tremendous amount of leg hair, I suppose.
No, aside from my head and face, I'm a pretty unhairy, actually. I don't have a lot of body hair.
Well, this episode's already going, terribly off the rails. But
yeah, it's great. But so I think I was wearing 2-inch shorts. I'd have to find a picture and look at it to see. But it was incredibly inspiring race where I fell very, very far short of my time speed goals, but I'm pretty sure I met my fashion goals.
Awesome. Well, that's a good one. What else did you run this week?
Geez, I did so much.
And by the way, week here sort of being roughly the equivalent of a Power Motion Picnic Hour episode to the unit of time, an hour.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Clarence Darrow definition of a week.
Yes.
And so apologies to any William Jennings Bryan's fans out there. But, there's a reason the man was never elected president. He just he wasn't as good at bullshitting as some other people. But I did an 8-mile and a 10-mile treadmill run earlier this week, and then today I had a great run. I had 2 runs today, actually.
That's great. I mean, a double.
One of them was related to a gear shed review, so maybe we should hold off on that one.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I think we're going to visit the gear shed, right? I think that's our primary, maybe only stated goal for this episode is to dive into the gear shed.
Yeah, and my second run was unexpected when I had to make it to the local Best Buy before they closed in order to get some equipment that we needed to record this podcast. And I realized Best Buy was going to close in 25 minutes. And luckily I had I have like 4 pairs of running shoes in this apartment, but I had my Tracksmith Elliott runners about 6 inches from my feet. So I just threw them on, and we were texting, and I was saying how I needed this equipment, and you said, and I was like, Best Buy is not far, and you said, well, why don't you just run there? so I did, and when I was leaving, the guy went to get me a bag, and I was like, no, I don't need a bag. I'm just going to hold it under my arm like a football and run out of here, which is what I did. And I ran down Houston from Broadway all the way to my apartment, and I made it. It's about half a mile. I made it there, made a purchase, made it back in 28 minutes.
You set your apartment to Best Buy PR probably on the way there.
Yeah, not only did I make it to Best Buy and make the purchase before it closed, but I actually made it home before Best Buy closed as well. So.
That's amazing. Wow, what an effort. I don't know. I mean, so there you go. As much as you wish the 4-miler had gone a little bit better, this run to Best Buy and back was probably beyond expectations.
Yeah, and we've proven that there are some practical applications here. It was similar, shorter in distance, but similar in motivation to the first marathon ever run. Right. Somebody was running from Marathon to Athens, I think, it was
for highly practical reasons.
Yeah, and this was, practical as well.
It was the same, yeah.
Yeah. How was your week in running? Your 2-week week?
Before we move into that, I just want to say during that time, as you were running, I've never crewed an ultra, but it sort of felt like what I imagined the experience might be. Like I knew you were running, and I didn't know what time you'd be back, and so I was sort of waiting at the next aid station. Had some salt and vinegar chips prepared for you, and
Thank you.
ended up just eating them myself.
Yeah, didn't need them. That's because I ran so much of a faster time than we probably expected. Most of my run. We should say this is happening at Saturday night in Lower Manhattan, so most of my run was along Houston Street, which is just like some parts of it are a little quiet, but other parts just have like restaurants and people doing outdoor dining and
Yeah.
and
Kinda zip around those.
yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I kind of felt like Moby in the music video for that's when I reach for my revolver, the Mission of Burma cover. That is the first thing I actually ever heard by him.
Interesting. I'm not familiar, but an
Oh,
interesting variable you have on a run like that is just I feel like the crosswalks, and like you can always go against them probably that time of night, but it's not like you've got just smooth sailing, right? You've got to be very aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, no, I mean you and I were texting earlier today, complaining about tourists in Lower Manhattan. Not really complaining about them, just making fun of them. And and there was like, yeah, there were certainly lots of those out on my. There's a lot of Italian restaurants on the way, so that's a good spot for a tourist, I think.
Yeah, Soho Italian restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's not just a Billy Joel song; it's also something in my way as I try to get to Best Buy before they close.
If you live in a glass house, don't throw stones.
Yeah, exactly. He's got some good advice buried in there somewhere. I love that album cover, by the way, the Billy Joel Glass Houses. It's just like he's not, obviously it's just so on the nose. It's like no one's ever been more like banging you over the head with the, like he's like insulting your intelligence, or maybe it's his own intelligence that he's accidentally insulting, but like it's just like, okay Billy, yeah, that's it, that's what the saying means.
that is a literal and a quite literal interpretation of the saying.
Although I guess on the album, I'm thinking about the album cover now, he is on the outside. So maybe he doesn't even get it, because it's the saying is if you're inside the house, you shouldn't throw the stones, and he's just on the sidewalk.
He's just on the outside, ready to throw the giant rock in.
He's like, can I throw one too? Like I have a regular house, but I'm Billy Joel, and as usual, I'm really drunk.
If you don't live in a glass house, find one and throw a rock through it.
Exactly. They're gonna fucking break it soon enough anyway, so Billy Joel might as well do it.
Yeah.
He's a treasure.
Yeah, man. Billy Joel was the one who threw the rock through the condo on 22nd in that Field Medic song.
Wait, what song was it?
The Field Medic song of the day.
Oh yeah,
about being on chill. That was actually Billy Joel.
Yeah, that was a more subtle metaphor about Billy Joel's activities.
So weekend running.
Yeah, hit it. Let's hear about it.
Well, it started. I went to London. I saw a listener there, and we sort of had a plan to do some research for an upcoming deep dive episode that we've been talking about.
I like that. I like the concept or the prospect of potential deep dive episodes.
Deep dive episodes. Connected with this listener. So we originally thought maybe we would go down to the London Marathon route and sort of go along the Thames a bit. We did not do that. I actually looked up to see, like, are there like pubs associated with Joe Strummer, and like there are, but it happened to close. Like the one that I found was closed a couple years ago. So we just went to one that I think probably was quite similar to that.
Okay. Similar to
the Squirrel that Joe Strummer used to frequent.
So did you go to this pub and drink and then run a long distance the next morning?
I did not. I ended up the night was a little bit. It didn't go exactly as planned, and we had to sort of cut it a little bit short. And then the next morning, I was wondering if I would run, and being like completely sort of jet lagged and everything else. did not run, and instead decided I would walk to the office.
Okay.
In some barefoot shoes.
Nice.
Which I did, and I started out and I headed off, and then like sort of was going. Then I realized I had circled back to the hotel exactly where I had started.
Wow, that's kind of like
It's a good like warm up.
That's the kind of thing that would happen to you in Amsterdam. I don't. I'm trying to picture that happening in London, but I guess it depends on what part of town. Any old cities like that where the streets just wind around, it's pretty easy to find yourself back where you started.
I don't think it was London's fault. I think I just did not know where I was going.
Okay.
But course corrected and then walked to the office. So got a nice, like, I don't know, 2.5 mile walk in.
Oh, perfect. That sounds nice.
So there was that. I'd say it was a varied week in running because I also did, I think right before that, I did some hill sprints because I knew once I was in London, it would be difficult to do such things. So I did some like, I did 10 hill sprints. Nice. At the local spot, and it was like not very enjoyable.
Well, hill sprints often aren't, but it's better to get it out of the way before race day, and it's better to learn that you're not up for it, in training.
Yeah. So did that. What else? I don't know. Otherwise, I'd say just some kind of just average running. A little bit here and there. It was not the again, for like the third or fourth episode in a row, probably not the biggest volume week.
Okay.
And it's something I'd say leading up to Presidential Traverse in about 3 weeks. Gonna have to kind of ramp it up and put in a little bit better of a training block, I think.
How far is the Presidential Traverse?
A little over 20 miles, but it's pretty. It's like the terrain's pretty intense, and it's about 9,000 feet of gain.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
That sounds pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I think I was hoping to do it in 7 hours, and like where I am now, I'm like probably not in shape to do that.
7 hours. Well, we'll see, right? I mean, I guess that's why we run the race. If I had told you the results of my Front Runner's Pride 4 miler before running the race, I would have told you that thing was almost under half an hour.
Almost under 30, yeah. Almost to sub 30, which would have been an amazing accomplishment.
Hey, maybe wait till next year, I suppose. It was certainly closer to 33, possibly over 33. I think you could probably I think with New York Roadrunners, you can just look people's race times up online. So if anyone just Googled me, they could probably find all my race times. But yeah, I think we're talking over 33. So
what was your standing in the end?
I don't know. I haven't looked at these numbers since the race. I would guess it was pretty solidly in the middle of the field per usual.
Yeah.
I could probably find it. I don't have my usual tabs open because I'm working on a new computer. So. But yeah, let's say somewhere in
the one you ran to go by.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, yeah, I don't have it. I don't have that information. Unfortunately, no. I don't know if they sent it. They usually send an email with the breakdown of all your stats, and I know I went over them last time. The last episode when we did a recap of the 10K I ran on my Fortissimo +1 birthday.
Yes.
I don't think I got a similar email, unfortunately, for the Front Runners 4 miler, but
maybe it'll come. It was, I don't know.
The good news is I'm running another 4 miler a week from today on the same course, so we can go over that one next time. Hopefully,
we'll go over that one, and we'll see. Will you beat your best? Will you beat the Front Runners? We'll see.
This one's cool. It's the retro 4 miler, so everyone's going to be dressed like me.
Nice.
And then and then I have a gig the night before, a musical performance, so it'll be interesting to see how that affects my performance.
Interesting.
Maybe it'll help. Maybe I'll sleep better.
It might help. Yeah, you might sleep better. You might sort of be able to draw from some of that energy and positivity, and we'll see.
We'll see. I didn't realize that when I booked these two things that they were so close to each other hour wise. But yeah, well, we'll talk about that next time. No speculating.
Yeah, yeah. So, got a little mailbag.
Let's do the mailbag. 'Cause it's been filling up, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you got? What do you want to open with?
Maybe if it's all right, I'll just hit a couple. I'm just gonna do like a little rapid fire mailbag,
Yeah, I like that's a new segment on the show.
and part of it is due to the very short nature of the responses or the incoming portion of this mailbag. So, as part of the Power Motion Picnic Hour Western States coverage, we recommended listeners tune into other podcasts for detailed coverage, and we also put out a couple social posts. So both those got a little bit of attention.
I like that.
Yeah. So the first was there was a picture of Lenny, my running partner, the dog,
Yeah.
just
runner.
on the couch, and like a picture of like the Western States coverage, which was quite good this year, by the way, better than it's ever been.
Oh, nice.
And it was like it said something about like, like grab like an untapped Vermont like goo and settle in for a couple more like Western States finishes, and we actually got a response from Untapped.
Oh, wow. What did they say?
They said, "Ha."
All right, it's a start.
So, I mean, not quite a sponsorship, but an interaction with a potential sponsor.
It's a foundational moment in building a relationship.
We'll look back. Back. The second, and I was really excited about this at first, but I've since reflected a bit. It was congratulating Courtney Dauwalter on her absolutely mind-blowing performance, which you can hear a lot about on most other sort of running, certainly trail running focused podcasts, who will do it justice. And we congratulated her on setting a new course record by the equivalent of 2 Power Motion Picnic Hour episodes.
Wow.
Which is a decent amount of time.
Sure. Yeah. For that length, this isn't just a tree to tree or a run to Best Buy and home.
No, this is and two Power Motion Picnic Hours, and we got for that one we got a scene by Courtney Dauwalter.
Not bad.
Notification.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, sick. And then I was like, oh man, that was definitely just like her PR person like doing screening.
Do you think she has a PR person?
I think so. I think she's that good and that big that I doubt it was her. Like, I hold out a little bit of hope. I mean, we could ask the listener, was it Courtney Dauwalter?
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
I think it was.
You think she was like 2 Power Motion Picnic Hours. I never thought of it that way.
I think it was her. A friend of mine just earlier this evening was at a Yankees game and put up a story, and I think he must have tagged a Yankee player, and he sent me a screenshot because the Yankee player viewed the story and he was very excited, and I think that guy saw it too. It's the same idea, you know.
Yeah, I mean that guy saw it.
Yeah.
I don't know about Courtney. Well, I mean, let's hope. Let's just say it was.
Yeah, I feel like it was both of them, and yeah, I like to know that
that's how we're gonna live our lives here on the pod.
Yeah, totally. All right, what else you got in the mailbag?
We did find out the Chicago did actually reverse the direction of the river, and a listener sent an article, which I have not yet read, but trust that it was a citation sort of proving that fact.
We appreciate the citation, and I think, while I don't know if there's anything to retract or apologize for here, we will do some sort of PR stunt where I jump into Lake Michigan the next time I'm in Chicago.
Just don't go into the river, because I think what I learned from the title of this article and maybe like a short synopsis is that I think the waste did not just disappear; it like went downstream into some other river.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're
stay out of that river.
Avoid rivers. Planned photo opportunity PR stunt jumping into the lake.
Right. Just like former Governor Weld.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like a Chicago Bill Weld.
That's right. Last mailbag from my end is I'd say this is sort of a public service announcement from a quite devout listener who says July 8th through 14th is Hummingbird Week.
Well, this episode is going to drop during Hummingbird Week, so happy Hummingbird Week.
It's recorded on the first day of Hummingbird Week, and
it'll probably be released on the last day of Hummingbird Week.
So, I mean, for our crossover crowd, thank you. And dear listener, we really appreciate that.
That's wonderful. Those are great additions to the mailbag. I have just a couple mailbag entries
I can't wait.
I'd like to share with you and everyone listening at home and on the run alike. One listener sent in an article they thought they thought we would like, and probably our listeners as well. An article about, it's called "When Exercise Was Actually Torture," and it's which is a good perspective. And it's about it's an article about how treadmills were developed as a form of punishment for people in prison.
Ooh.
And there's a whole long article. We could even probably share a link to it on the Instagram somewhere.
We should do that.
Yeah, we could find a selection and screenshot it, one we particularly like, and we'll share that. So that's a fun take, a nice counterpoint to our usually pumping up the finer points and more reasons to like treadmills. Here's a reason to not like a treadmill, that it's technically a form of punishment for prisoners. And then
I mean, I imagine if you were a prisoner being forced to run on the treadmill, it would not be very chill.
I don't know. I always thought the best part about, and maybe the only, the best part about being in prison is all the time to exercise. And maybe I've told this story before, but once I was on tour many years ago, and I used to like to do pull-ups a lot, and I was always kind of bummed being on tour. There was less time to work on your pull-up game and running and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this was probably about 10 years ago, and I was in Austin, Texas, and doing we were doing sound check, and this younger band, this guy, we were doing pull-ups on the stage, me and this other guy, on like some kind of beam hanging up above our heads, and I jumped up, and I could do a lot at the time, and I probably did like 20 pull-ups or something, and 15, 20 pull-ups, and he jumped up, and he did like 1,000,000 pull-ups. Like so many pull-ups. I can't remember how many. It blew my mind, and I could do a good amount. Yeah. And I was like, wow, how can you do so many pull-ups? And he said something. He's like, I just got out of prison. and my reaction was, I said like, awesome. Because did I tell this on pod?
I mean, that's great. I think the problem with the treadmill is the real torture is they wipe your analytics. They're like you have no idea what your mile pace was on that run.
Yeah.
You have no idea how you stacked up against yesterday's torture run.
Yeah, and there's no little and they probably don't give you a third wave ska music playlist to listen to while you do it to make it easier.
Yeah, no, you're just with your thoughts.
Yeah, you don't get to watch NBA Summer League or Wimbledon. And then just one more entry to the mailbag I have on my end, and I don't have this one in front of me, but a listener wrote in to about our discussion of the Zero sandals.
Oh, okay.
And this listener said that she objected to them, I think, from both technical and aesthetic reasons.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so she disagreed with our friend, former guest, and popular runner Jim Pergolesi, and maybe disagreed with us, because that transitions us nicely into this week's entry into the gear shed.
Ooh, okay.
And
let's go.
I did find myself sauntering into the gear shed and then running on out with a pair of Zero running sandals strapped to my feet.
Tell us about it.
And that was my first run today. I ran to the quarter-mile track down by the East River, the potential future site of the Power Motion Picnic Hour Community Mile.
Mm-hmm. I
did a little run, a 1 mile run down there, and then in sneakers, because as I've said before, I'm not going to run on the streets of New York in sandals.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not going to do any PR stunt. I promised to make some kind of apology for that. I'm sorry, Mayor Adams, but the streets are disgusting. So went down and I changed into my sandals. And as we discussed before, you had suggested going easy, right?
Yeah.
And not going too far, maybe running a mile. But ended up running 4 miles on them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I brought I had a men's size 12, which is what the store recommended. Even though after I got out there, I think maybe I should have gotten 11s. But and then I brought a female tester with me as well. So we had a female size 7 zeros.
Okay.
And I liked them a lot. I'm gonna try running in them again. She loved them, and it was like, yeah, like couldn't believe how great it was. Thought it felt amazing, instantly.
Wow.
So yeah, I thought I think maybe like my only complaint is they moved around a little too much on my feet, but that might just be me having to get them strapped in a little better.
I think, yeah, maybe mess around a little bit with you can like adjust the strap lengths and stuff.
At some point, I wasn't gonna, but then I stopped to adjust them, and that was actually great because then after I got them adjusted, I had to run kind of fast to catch up to my running partner, and that was really enjoyable. Actually, I found it really really fun to run faster in them because we were running pretty slow. We were taking it easy, and then to run like to pick up the pace in them was really enjoyable too. And I don't know how fast I was running, but I was, I just kind of was like, she wasn't that far ahead, so I just wanted to run and catch up. And that inspired me at some point a little later, because I'm generally a little faster than this running partner. At some point, I was like, all right, and this is probably what partially, made us run as far as 4 miles. Is I was like, all right, I'm gonna run ahead and try to lap you. And it only took like 2.5 maybe laps or 3 to do it because I went pretty hard. But that was really fun. Running them a little harder was really fun. And so this was only earlier today, so who knows how I'm going to pay for that later. Yeah, how that's going to feel in the morning.
I guess we'll find out in the next episode, because I loved the run I did in them recently too, but I found out, and the advice I passed on was I went on too hard of a surface too fast.
Yeah.
And so you did a nice job finding a track with a little bit of softness and going the right pace and then picking it up. I think I need to try something similar to properly weigh in on this gear shed. But so far, I mean, it sounds like both you and your partner really enjoyed the run.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend it, and like I agree with our listener from the mailbag. They don't look great aesthetically. You kind of look ridiculous, like a person running in Tevas. But it was pretty fun to do. You didn't feel like a person running in Tevas. You felt like a real soul runner out there, totally
you were
communing with nature and stuff.
Yeah, you were.
Probably how Thoreau felt whenever he ran with whatever he had strapped to his feet.
He was crushing FKTs around Walden Pond back in the day.
Yeah, he was establishing them.
Naming segments as just big disses to Emerson.
Yeah. I'm sure he was faster than Emerson.
He probably, well, I don't know. You think he was? So? I don't know. Well, he is our most applauded runner from that time period on the show.
I actually feel like I have no idea, because I would assume that, and I said it just because every picture I've ever seen of Emerson, he looks a lot of Thoreau, he looks a lot younger than Emerson. But that's just because when the pictures from it, I don't know. Yeah. So
I don't know.
I think you can't judge someone by how slow they look when they're old.
Yeah, we know that Emerson was a better rider. We're not sure how he stacks up in running, who set more FKTs. We might never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like my favorite runner, Bernie Sanders, ran a mile in 4:37 in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, he came in third in New York City. So
that's a big mile. I mean, a sub 5, like solidly sub 5 too.
Yeah, on one of those old school tracks with a bunch of crappy shoes.
Oh yeah.
What was he running in?
He was running in Zero sandals.
Yeah. What did people run in? Maybe someone could write on in the mailbag or write on a photo on our Instagram. What did people run in like 1958 or whenever he did this, late 50s?
I think they were pretty similar, actually. I think they were probably thin, like layers of rubber,
all right,
with like very weak uppers, and I think they were probably just like feet.
So I guess we finally made it back to the wisdom.
We're finally there.
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah. So let's see. What? I did have a question for you.
Oh, please, yeah. Ask away.
how long is a season of the Power Motion Picnic Hour?
Because this is
how many-
season
how-
1.
How many episodes?
52. No, I don't know. It doesn't have to be a normal week, as we've said, 'cause it's not a normal hour. This isn't. We don't measure an hour with a clock.
We could like 50K it and call it like 33.
I don't know. I used to be a big fan of the television program Twin Peaks, and their first season I think was 8 episodes,
Okay.
and then the second season was 22 episodes.
So is this the first episode of season 2?
Maybe. If we go, should we go based on the Twin Peaks style? You're saying
I mean, we could, yeah, but then we've got to record 21 more episodes before we get to season 3.
I think season 3, which I didn't actually watch all of, and I should, but I think season 3 was 8 episodes again.
Nice. Okay, I like it. I think
Yeah.
we should do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like season 2 is when it's really going to take off anyway.
Yeah, well, we have the prospect of the Tapped New England sponsorship, and then we have our interaction with famous ultra runners.
Mm-hmm.
We have a more intense, maybe, visit to the gear shed with
we've
actual
got the-
footwear. So
We've got the prospect of our special guest returning for another episode, possibly with special guests other than Jim. In between.
we actually have. We've been talking to another special guest who will hopefully be in our next episode, and I actually did go on a run with our next potential special guest that I didn't mention, probably because it was like 2 weeks ago, and I forgot about it. But I did go on a nice. I don't know how long we ran, about 5 miles, maybe.
I think that's awesome. Yeah,
It was pretty fun.
we know the listeners always excited about the prospect of a special guest, and this episode we unfortunately do not have one.
No, but we could and we could save the talk about that run we did, me and future special guest. We ran up the Hudson, as I love to do, but this time we ran on the New Jersey side.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was
Very nice.
Yeah, it involved a run through the Hoboken train station, where we got confused about how to get through or around, but to the other side of the train station. But eventually got there and kept running up the river. It was pretty great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then
Awesome.
confidently ran back through on our way back once we knew the way out. But yeah, I guess that might be kind of all we have this week. Go please.
What's the what would you say the best Clash running album is?
The band The Clash, which album to run to?
Yeah, the Clash.
Probably the first or the second one.
I might say Sandinista.
It's long. That's
right.
If you're going, I was thinking about that.
If you're Jim,
Yeah, exactly. Because Jim runs out of Clash albums quickly, so at least that one's 3 times as long.
he listens on 1.3 speed, which doesn't help. All right. Well, happy Hummingbird Week.
Yeah, happy Hummingbird Week, everyone. We are just about out of time here, so until next time, which hopefully won't be so long, what do we always say in the Power Motion Picnic Hour?
Onward.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour, your favorite of the few, with a mile of opinions that we'll gladly share with you. This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour, you deserve nothing less. The Power Motion Picnic Hour, sometimes with special guests. Say your name, special guest.
Chicago, Bill Weld.
This is the Power Motion